Hey, how's it going, you guys? This is Peter Han. Thank you for joining me on this new video. That's going to be a first impression on the Etchr Slate, and I want to thank Etchr for sending me both of these bags. First, the satchel from a few months back, one of the prototypes I've been able to test out for a while, and of course the new Slate. And of course they have two types, the mini and the regular, which I've gotten the regular version, which I'll give you my kind of thoughts behind it. Of course, I've already done a first impression on the satchel, the Etchr Satchel, and if you want to see more detailed information about this particular bag, do go check out that video in my feed. However, I do want to give you guys an update based on how I feel about the bag currently, based on now months of use, traveling internationally, locally, for domestic trips, or even just kind of going to different museums around here in LA, Los Angeles. So, after having done the video, the first impression was obviously very positive. I do like the bag quite a bit, but now after having used it, gone through extensive stress testing, is that I still do very much favor the bag. There are a couple of things I wanted to go over in terms of the overall quality. In terms of the build, everything is holding together fairly well. The material is still solid. Things seem to be smooth in terms of action from the zippers and all of the latches and such. But I do want to give you an update based on my experience so far. I will say that this bag is one of those bags that is highly focused in terms of how you should use it. So for general purpose use, I would say it's probably not the best route to go. So if you're looking for things that are everyday carries, things you just hold in your bag, this is not the bag for you. It's, again, like I said, very much a functional purpose. So you really have to tailor and control what you want to place in your bag, in especially this satchel here. Of course, now I've been stress loading it, and I did travel quite a bit last year, and I placed in many things from sketchbooks to iPads and many laptops and of course books and whatnot, and really put a heavy load on this. Now of course naturally the bag does have a bit of weight to it, to its materials, and the more you load it, the more stress you're going to put on you and of course on the bag itself. I do want to give you an update also, not within the use and the kind of overall feel, but there are a few things you want to be careful of over time of use, and I'm starting to kind of notice a couple things. One is, I did notice there is one particular area in the spot that you have to be careful of. Right here, I just want to make sure in the camera you can see it. Right here in that spot, this seems to be a bit of a stress junction at the moment in terms of the stitching. So the material holds strong really well. This strap, which I am more right dominant, is going over my shoulder, and if there's any kind of slack and you also have a lot of weight to your bag, it does drag down this particular material, which is holding in the plastic backing for the tripod. But the more stress and force you're pressing down on this, you'll start to notice this stress tear that starts to happen in the stitching. Now, it's not large at any degree, and it's also not very noticeable. There is none on this side of the bag because, again, I'm using mostly the right-hand side of it. Now, I've been noticing there is that slight tear, so you have to be careful, because if it rains, if you get water, and it does get in there, it does obviously go into the other side, so I'm not exactly sure how that'll affect the interior. But like I said, I've been taking it to the max load of level, and packing it as much as I can. Now, most of you probably won't be getting it to that degree because you're going to want to carry it light, but I've been doing a lot of, again, like I said, heavy load testing, and traveling internationally, I do kick it around and throw it everywhere. And so I've been trying to find ways to make sure this is the most, purposeful bag as it could be. And it is. It really is a good bag. So I do quite like it, but just watch out for most of you who are using it, that one little area in particular. So if you do find any kind of tearing or stretching, and I would hear any kind of a bit of tearing here and there over the months of use. So, but like I said, just watch out for that one particular spot. In any case, other than that though, the rest of the bag is fantastic, and I've used it quite a bit. Now, the only other issue, in particular the second part of this, is the fact that it is not an everyday carry. And I do like the bag a lot, but I only really like it for extensive, heavy use trips. So if I'm going internationally or domestically and trying to use it for real on-the-site painting, location-wise, whatever the case is, not very quick but really strong setups, then something like this is going to be used quite a bit. But if I go to, let's say, class, or if I'm taking to school, or if I'm going to teach a certain, observational drawing session, I actually would not want to bring this because, like I said, it's just a little bit too cumbersome and heavy load, and carrying it around like this in a complete setup positioning, again, is not necessarily the best tool to use in a teaching position. So again, like I said, it has its uses, especially when it comes to real strong, heavy load on-site drawing and painting. So keep that in mind as you go forward. Fantastic product still. Now, on top of this, I did get myself a small little leather satchel, which I would carry a lot of my tools, and has a little slipcase for sketchbooks and whatnot. So for quick trips, I've been using that bag mostly. It's just an off-brand. That's why I haven't been carrying this as much as I'd like to. Now, of course, with more traveling coming up in the future, I will definitely be using this a lot more, the satchel. Now on this side over here, we've obviously gotten the slate, and I just literally received this today. I've opened it up, I put a couple things inside there just to feel it out, and I'll give you guys my kind of general impressions based on this bag. Obviously you can see the scale information from the satchel to the slate. The weight is, because the material is the same exact type, it still has a bit of weight to it, but obviously nowhere near the satchel itself. So build quality, strong, which I expected it to be. I'm going to put the satchel aside for now. This will give us more room to play with the slate. And so even the tags are still attached. Everything is still there in terms of the product. We have a nice zipper to the top end, which will zip in any kind of papers or briefs or whatever the case you need to have. Velcro strap for the main pocket, which I'm glad to have one of these in there. Things like my sketchbooks and stuff like that will probably go into this particular bag. Any other loose tool sets or bottles of ink, chargers, or whatever the case is, will go in this particular compartment. These are the kind of the extra little social media information about here. Obviously we have Darren kind of giving us more motivation to work and draw. As we close this up, you can see the back side, which has a nice strong strap for vertical carry, the backing for the tripod, and of course our shoulder strap. Now this one has been set up already in terms of use for drawing standing up, so we'll take a look at that later on in a second here. As I open up the bag, the bag already has the iPad inside of it, so I've already set it up properly, and as you can see, probably set up pretty secure. It's got the standard little Velcro straps, which are kind of locked in on. It does have the extra straps for tool sets, for pens and whatnot. It's got the mesh pocket that you'd be able to essentially drop in any additional tool sets in. Now it's pretty close to the edges on the zipper, which I noticed, so it will take a little bit more finagling to get it closed on the corners right here. So it's not really quick access to open and close. One of the benefits I liked from the satchel was that it actually had Velcros on the mesh, so you can actually take it off if you didn't want it, or put it in if you felt like it was necessary. So this one is permanently, it seems, stitched into the bag itself. So if it was removable, I actually would have favored that because I really like that from the satchel itself. But again, it's still a very necessary thing to be able to place in more tool sets inside here. Now as we then flip it over and lock it down, it does have the buckle on one side, which you can then lock in place. So now it's on a drawing platform, which you would be able to hold and sketch with. So what we're going to do now is actually I'm going to set it up, and I have these plants in front of me which I recently got, and I wanted to do a quick test as a standing up drawing process to show you guys. Alright, so let's go there next. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys a real quick demo using the Etchr Slate, which I have strapped on me at the moment currently, which is the iPad that I'm using right now too. We had a couple of the plants in the background, but I decided to bring in a skull to show you guys a bit of approach towards some of the sketching. I'll be again using the Apple Pencil, and I do have Procreate running at the moment, and Procreate has been one of the main tools I've been using for sketching and drawing. And of course I'll give you guys a bit of impression at some point in the future with the iPad Pro, Apple Pencil, and of course Procreate in comparison to, let's say, something like the Surface Pro. I'm going to try to keep this strap in the clear so you can see it as best you can. But like I said, I think overall the feel feels pretty good in terms of working action. I'm not really going to talk about the app or anything like that. The bag itself though is kind of like the focus area at the moment, and you can see it's pretty easy to hold. There's not too much stress going into the mobility or the weight. And even though I'm only carrying the iPad, I probably will point in the future, as I'm using this more on location, is to load it pretty heavily, just like it did with the satchel. So I'll probably place in a lot of my tool sets to draw within and see how it feels going into the future, especially drawing on location. I'll probably be taking this into classrooms with my students at Art Center and other school sets, and see how the response is and how it feels as a teaching tool as well too. But so far, in terms of feel, it's no different. However, what I am actually thinking of doing, which I may show you in the video as well too, is that I am using the satchel, obviously. And to be quite honest, I actually prefer the strap from the satchel instead. I think it has a bit more benefit. Let me just check the camera real fast. Okay. I actually do feel the strap is a bit more durable and more versatile on the actual satchel backpack. And to be able to hold this bag and the Slate as a backpack form, to me, I find maybe more attractive. Even the adjustment I can make on the other strap from the satchel is a bit more handy. So right now I'm using the standard one from the Slate, but I actually might switch it out with the satchel and see how it feels. So for now though, I mean, the working action really is no different. Feels pretty solid. And like I said, overall durability, materials, everything else feels pretty good. So far impression, I would say very positive, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this runs in terms of ease of use, comfort, comfort within carry, towards the load of how much I can put into the bag, and of course impressions of just aesthetic. But so far I do like the look. It does come obviously in just in black, and I don't mind that as much. However, I do wish there were more color options. I'm sure you guys will actually potentially do so more into the future, maybe with some material changes or whatever the case is. It would be nice to have that, because even in the prototype, having that kind of brown trim, I actually do favor. The black ones are quite nice too, but I actually like a bit of color in mine. And but like I said, I think more options in the future will be really great ways to move forward on things. I'm sure they'll have more product in development, but so far I think they had a really good splash using the satchel. I'm gonna just kind of hold this up a little bit more. Making sure that you guys can see it best you can. And I'm just using the Apple Pencil to give me some gradients, shades. This is a bobcat skull that I believe I'm sketching from at the moment. But so far, very nice, a lot of fun. And I'll be taking this on location pretty much immediately, starting tomorrow. I have class tomorrow, so I kind of want to see how it feels. I love to get impressions from the students that I have in classes as well too. Kind of give them an opportunity to kind of give them some insight, maybe some feedback from them as well, and just kind of give an idea as to what they would like to see more of. But so far from my end, I would say it feels great, and I'm looking to see and how it works into the future. But yeah, just a couple of small little things in terms of the strap and maybe the actual compartment casing, how much I can fit in here, which much like the satchel is going to be very limited, but I'll have to kind of focus it as to what I can really kind of carry. But so far, really quick sketch, just kind of feel it out. A little bit of the perspective in place, trying to find that ground plane. And there we go. So real quickly, just to switch that off. The pencil I can probably attach somewhere at some point here. I might be able to move some of these things around. And yeah, it should be pretty solid to go. I can unbuckle this. Obviously, flip it right back over. Zip it back up and we'd be ready to go. So yeah, let's move on. Alright, coming back, I just wanted to give you guys a couple of last thoughts and potential customization that you could do with this bag over here, the Slate, to help better, suit your needs, and also for my needs personally. Now, having used it for the very first time here on camera, I found that actually this strap, this shoulder strap that I've been, using, which is standard to this bag over here, which is nice and has a very great quick action release, easy adjustable strap. nice comfortable, cushioning, which is also Velcro, which you can take off and on and off. And as you can notice, pretty standard, pretty solid. But what I did over here, off to the side, as you'll notice, is I've actually taken off the strap from the satchel bag, the other one, prototype. Now the satchel bag, this one can be taken apart in the middle, which is great for backpack functionality, so you can actually put it on both ends to make it like a backpack. I would actually just need to get some buckle inserts on this end and just kind of be able to, latch it on there. So I gotta make this into a mini backpack if I want to, actually. And of course, any other additional customization of things like adding padding, or even from the original one over here to add on top of this one, potentially could be done too. So, this one comes from the satchel, but I could easily attach it to the Slate. Now, I actually do prefer this shoulder strap a lot more, and this is due to the fact that not only is it functional in terms of quick release, but also is really quick adjustments. So if I'm holding it, the issue that I just had recently, just right now, was that I couldn't adjust this while I was having it on. So I couldn't make it come higher to my chest or go lower down to my waist. So it wasn't as easy to adjust in comparison to the original stock shoulder strap. So to me, I actually find the original strap from the satchel to be a little bit more user-friendly in a lot of ways, and I actually will probably end up using both to test them out more into the field. But yeah, I think something like this can be great, especially if you do have the satchel, to be able to potentially just use one strap and just kind of apply to one or the other if you want to. Now, I haven't looked into it just yet in terms of the website. I actually am not quite sure if you can buy independent parts and pieces like the buckles and the straps, whatever the case is. If that's not the case, maybe that's an option that hopefully Etchr can kind of think about maybe applying towards their site, so that you can have replacement pieces or possibly additions of things that you just haven't gotten with the other bag. So for instance, if you do get a Slate or a mini Slate and you don't have, let's say, this kind of strap from the satchel, maybe you want one. So far, I think I would end up liking this a lot more. So that would be my only last impression and thoughts on things, but I'm very much looking forward to using this more in the field, and we'll see how it goes. If anything, if I need to do another update and a video, I will do so. But hopefully you guys can leave some comments, thoughts. I would love to hear it. Thank you again for joining. I want to thank again Etchr for sending me their products and having to test out. It's an honor to be able to kind of give my own impressions on things, and keep in mind the fact that these are my own impressions, my own thoughts, experience as well too. So my experience may not be yours, and due to that fact, obviously take it as just advice, and from there make your own judgments to whether you want to invest money on products such as these, which I highly favor and I would recommend to the highest degree. But always be opinionated, and always question things, ask and talk to friends who may also have one of these, get a sense of it, and from there make your choice. All right, so thank you guys again. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you next time.